Hey guys, Dylan from Noble Records coming at you with another video. Today we're going to talk about the top 10 rock and roll lead singers of all time. Now, I've been excited to do this video for you guys for quite some time. I've been putting together some stuff. If you're new to my channel, I'm going to be showing you some video clips and also some cool records that correspond with the lead singers on this list. So before we get started, if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, please hit that subscribe button. And if you really like it, hit that bell to turn the notifications on. And follow us on Instagram. I have a record store in Matthews, North Carolina, where I'm always buying collections, recommending albums, and showing you all the cool things that happen day to day. Follow us at Noble Records on Instagram. So let's get started. This list is not something I came up with. Now, if you watch my channel, you know I did a video a while back. It was called it was the top 20 most wanted records of all time. And I said in the beginning of the video, this is not my list, and still everyone's like, I can't believe this isn't on a list. This is not my list. I got this from Rolling Stone magazine. So Rolling Stone magazine, they did this big thing where all their readers voted on the top lead singers of all time, and this is what they came up with. It's a really good list, but there are some glaring omissions from the list that didn't make it. So I'm going to talk about I'm going to go through the top 10 first, and then I'm going to touch on some that I think should have been on the list. If at any point you think, hey, they should have been on the list, put it in the comment section and let me know what you think should have been on the list. So, coming in at number 10 is Kurt Cobain. So, you know, we've all seen this album cover, even if you're not super familiar with Nirvana. Kurt Cobain is just a really iconic figure. You know, if you're thinking about a, really strong vocal performance, Kurt Cobain's not really that. You know, he's more grunge, but he is super iconic. This album, Nevermind, it changed some things for music. You know, a lot of people were inspired by this album to start bands. It kind of gave a new hope for rock at the time. So as far as rock and roll lead singers go, he was one of the most iconic, artistic, incredible songwriters, really huge figure in rock and roll. So that's probably why he made number 10 on the list. Number 9 is Chris Cornell, lead singer of Soundgarden. He also did a bunch of solo stuff. He also sang for Audioslave. Incredible singer. He's the type of singer that when he opened his mouth, he poured out every single bit of himself into that microphone. Just really incredible singer. He was an activist. Just a really cool person. Unfortunately, we lost him a few years ago. But man, if you ever listen to like his solo acoustic album, he is just one of the most spirited, incredible singers to ever walk the face of the planet. This is an original pressing of Soundgarden, Bad Motorfinger, probably my favorite Soundgarden record. But I love the stuff he does on his own and with Audioslave. Incredible singer. Number 8 is John Lennon. This is an original UK of Revolver by the Beatles. As you know, John Lennon was one of the Beatles. If it had been me, I would have probably picked Paul McCartney over John Lennon, but John Lennon was one of these big figures in music. He was a great songwriter. The songwriting duo between him and Paul McCartney was just, in my opinion, unmatched. They had such great chemistry. You know, there was, if you've seen the recent documentary Get Back sessions, there was some, division in the band at the time, but really I think most of the time they worked together really well. John Lennon, he was notorious for making big statements and doing some crazy things and always in the news and all that stuff. And sadly, he was taken out a little bit young. So it's sad that he was one of these really unfortunate rock stars that were killed. But he is iconic and no one can mistake his songwriting ability. So it's hard to say who the lead singer of the Beatles, because they all sang. But that was the people's choice. Number 7 is Eddie Vedder. If you're into records, this is an original U.S. press of Pearl Jam 10. Their first record, probably, one of my favorites. The first 3 are killer. But Eddie Vedder, just an awesome rock singer. One of my favorite things about Eddie Vedder is just how he's one of these people, he's always after it. He's always doing crazy stuff. Even to this day, he still has solo albums coming out. He always strives to do really good music and put out really good art. And also, like, in his live shows, he's just notorious about doing crazy things. He would climb, you know, the scaffolding and the trusses and stuff in the concerts. I mean, he would be like 30, 40 feet in the air just dangling. He's a wild man. But what a voice he had. Lots of people mimicked it, but nobody did it quite like Eddie Vedder. Number 6 is Roger Daltrey from The Who. If you're into records, this is a first US on Decca of The Who My Generation. The Who has a vast catalog. Roger Daltrey is definitely one of these, early 70s, late 60s pioneers of rock and roll. He was, had the big hair and the killer voice. The Who, unmistakably one of the most iconic bands of all time. Great voice, phenomenal stuff, and he was a great songwriter as well. So coming in at number 6, Roger Daltrey. Coming in at number 5 is Jim Morrison, the American poet. Jim Morrison's kind of a wild figure in rock and roll, but this album, Doors' debut, was just a huge part of the direction that rock and roll was headed in. It was big on the psychedelic rock scene. Jim Morrison has inspired so many vocalists. He had such a unique style, and has been mimicked since then. But he started this whole new wave of singer. He did his own thing, and it was a lot of people grabbed onto it. Some people think that his lyricism is a little bit weird, a little bit out there, and he was a little bit pretentious. I think his lyrics are incredible. Sure, he was a kind of a wild person, but really like his songwriting, really love his voice. Jim Morrison, not much more to say than that. Incredible singer coming in at number 5. Number 4 is Mick Jagger. If the Rolling Stones, if you're into records, this is an original UK mono of Aftermath. Incredible, probably, my favorite early Stones record anyways. But Mick Jagger, just amazing frontman, amazing personality, incredible voice, still trucking, still going now. I'm surprised this isn't higher on the list, even though it's number 4. Just Mick Jagger you can't say you like rock and roll if you don't like the Stones. Stones are just an incredible rock and roll band. Early on, they did a lot of things. I mean, even earlier than Zeppelin and a lot of the big bands, the Stones were doing big things, and love the Stones. But Mick Jagger, unmistakable, huge figure in rock and roll. Coming in at number 3 is Bono of U2, and this one kind of surprised me a little bit. I love Bono and I love U2. I think he's a fantastic singer, really good showman. He's a philanthropist, he's an activist. He does a lot of things for people. He gives a lot, and he's always doing something. He's always working, always grinding, always looking for the next big thing. I think U2's an incredible band. I think this record, Joshua Tree, is one of my absolute favorite records. I can listen to it in no matter what mood I'm in, and I absolutely love it. But U2, a lot of people don't like U2. I don't know. It's one of those bands. When I did a video of the most hated bands, and U2 was up there. A lot of people they don't care for it. So it's funny that he would be number 3 on the top rock and roll lead singers of all time, but he is, and I can't deny it. Really big. A lot of this, I think, is it maybe doesn't have as much to do with how good the singer is, but how big they were in the scene. You know what I mean? How influential they were and how important they were, and so that is probably why Bono is up there. I'll take it. Do I think Mick Jagger probably is better than Bono? Yeah. Number 2 is Freddie Mercury from Queen. Queen's always been, one of the biggest rock and roll bands of all time. They definitely were a little bit different, almost like had more of a classical rock and roll feel to it. But Freddie Mercury, the one huge draw, he had this amazing vocal range, more than any other singer that I can think of. And also, he commanded the crowd like no one else. I mean, if you've seen the Live Aid video of him out there, hey-oh, I mean, him just commanding this crowd, they're on the edge of their seats watching him. And he has such a presence, such a personality, such an incredible singer. I mean, his voice is unmatched. I mean, talk about somebody who is influential, who has just an incredible, insane voice and stage presence like none other. Freddie Mercury is unmatched, I think, and rightfully so, number 2 on the list. Number 1, if you know me, you know I was pleased that this was number 1 because it would be my number 1, and that is Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin. If you're into records, this is a first US. This is a pretty rare plum and tan label. This is the first of the first, and the mix is actually a little bit different on this one. This is a really collectible copy. You know, if you're not into records, just disregard that. But Robert Plant of Led Zeppelin, you know, he did a lot that a lot of people mimic. Amazing stage presence, but I mean, his vocal range was nuts. Led Zeppelin, I think, was one of those bands that every member of the band was just the best at what they did. You know, Jimmy Page, just an amazing guitar player, one of the best in the world anyways. John Bonham, a lot of people would argue he's the best drummer in the world. You know, John Paul Jones was a multi-instrumentalist, absolute brilliant person, but Robert Plant's chemistry with the band and with the audience really set him apart, and the howl of his voice is untouchable. He's still doing great things, coming out with some really cool records with Alison Krauss. Just all of his solo stuff is great. Love Robert Plant like he was my own child. So that's the top 10. Now take a pause, think, who is missing from this top 10? The first one, the most glaring omission I could not believe was not on the list, was Ozzy. Ozzy from Black Sabbath, Ozzy Osbourne, of course. I mean, he is like such a huge pioneer of rock and roll. Why is he not on this list? I can't believe it. If you're into records, this is a first UK Vertigo, Volume 4. I have all the early Vertigos and love them. But Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath, come on. I mean, can you think of a bigger icon in rock and roll? I can't. Another one would be Bon Scott from AC/DC. You know, I mean, I know his, you know, a lot of the songs sound the same, but he's such a huge lead singer. It would have been on my top 10, I think. You know, another one, this one I could not believe was not on the list, and that is Steven Tyler from Aerosmith. If you're into records, this is Honkin' on Bobo, just kind of a hard one to get. I really love this record, but yeah, Steven Tyler, his vocal range is incredible. If I could trade my voice with one rock and roll voice, it would probably be Steven Tyler. I love his voice so much. Aerosmith's such a huge band. He's such an iconic lead singer. I cannot believe he wasn't on the list. And this one I can believe wasn't on the list, but I'm going to say it anyways. Iggy from the Stooges. Probably, he would have been on my top 10. Such an influential lead singer, especially when it comes to punk rock and stuff. Love Iggy, love the Stooges. A few more I had was Steve Perry, huge. And, you know, there wasn't any ladies on this list. You know, Stevie Nicks. I know Fleetwood Mac went through so many different changes, so many different lead singers, and I don't know that any of them are lead singers because there's a lot of singing from a lot of different people. But Stevie Nicks, I think, would have been good to put on the list. Another incredible female vocalist is Janis Joplin, and she was in you know, Big Brother and the Holding Company, and she was the lead singer of that. Incredible female vocalist. I mean, incredible vocalist, you know, period. Greg Allman, I can understand why he wasn't on the list. There's a lot of great people to fit into a top 10, but Greg Allman, one of the greatest voices in rock and roll. You know, you got Ronnie Van Zant from Leonard Skinner. There's a lot. There's so many that could be named. You know, and people like David Bowie. You know, David Bowie, sure, he was considered a solo act. That's why he wouldn't have been on the list, but what a great voice. Rolling Stone magazine did a list of the top 100 singers of all time. Steven Tyler got 99 on that list. He was beat out. I think Bob Dylan got number 7, which doesn't make any sense to me. I love Bob Dylan, but I mean, come on. I think Stevie Nicks got number 98. So the list is lists are arbitrary. It's all up to you and what you like. This video is just about celebrating some of the great rock and roll singers of all time. Comment below and tell me which ones that you would have added to the list. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button. It would help me out a ton. Check out some of the other videos on my channel. I'm always putting out videos about, you know, albums, records, all that interesting things that you probably would like if you like this video. Follow us on Instagram at Noble Records. Thank y'all. We will see you next time. Joe Perry.